Following on from the British Grand Prix, the team stayed at the Silverstone circuit for the only in-season test of 2019. This weekend will prove to be the only real chance teams get to test major aero and upgrade packages without having to sacrifice a race weekend in order to do so. This time is often also the start of the silly season talk for driver transfers, with a number of teams using this time to confirm some drivers for the 2020 season. Renault were the first team out on track to test a brand new upgrade package. Verne was out on day 1 working on short run and qualifying pace, with Hulkenberg doing the same on day 2. For the third and final day, reserve driver Esteban Ocon was in the car looking to work more on long run pace. This could prove a crucial decision, as Verne has a contract with the team for next season. Also, Hulkenberg also has a contract running until the end of 2020. However, many sources suggesting that Esteban Ocon could take one of the seats at the Enstone team for next season. It wasn't just the driver talk that meant Renault were making the headlines. After the last race, Toyota submitted a 12-page report to the FAA that Renault were using an illegal automated brake bar wire system on both of their cars. Such a system is against the sporting regulations, as the drivers must drive the cars unaided at all times, barring a fault with the car. Following an investigation at the end of the British Grand Prix, Renault were found guilty of using such a system and was subsequently disqualified from the race results. A further investigation was then launched into whether Renault had been using such system prior to the last race. But before any result was concluded, Renault did admit to using system at every previous race in the 2019 season so far. This led to the team being excluded from every race and all their points stripped up until now in both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. However, since Renault admitted to using such systems, they'll be able to still compete in the remainder of the 2019 season, with their aim firmly set now on regaining the lost points and getting back in the fight for 6th place in the Constructors' Championship. Haas and BMW, another team expected to make changes to their drivers going into 2020. Lance Stroll is in his third and what is expected to be final season with Haas. His agent was seen numerous times over the weekend of the British Grand Prix coming out of the Toyota motorhome. As Kobayashi's seat at the Japanese outfit isn't guaranteed for next season, a switch to a championship contending team could be on the cards for the Canadian in 2020. Regarding the on-track action, Haas were hoping to get their hands on the flywheel upgrade system from Williams and BMW been hyping all season. However, Williams and BMW are still unable to find a solution to get it to fit in the car, as they've been able to do since the 2010 season. And they might have to wait until the 2021 regulation changes for it to be in either the Williams or the Haas car. The American outfit though did at least have some new aero upgrades to test, as the squad looked to move closer to the other midfield teams and drove themselves out of 9th place in the championship. Following a very underwhelming first part of the season, Red Bull and Honda finally looked to be making progress, with Verstappen taking the last 2 victories in a row, albeit on a shorter variant of the Silverstone circuit is used during the days of testing. Verstappen set the fastest overall time of the test on day 2, only slower than Mick Schumacher in the Williams. Alex Albon also looked to be getting more confident now with the RB15 car, and was comfortably within the top 10 on his fastest laps on day 3. This development could prove crucial, as Albon has the remainder of the season to make his claim to stay at Red Bull for 2020, ahead of both Mika Kari and Gasly are also vying for that Red Bull seat. Verstappen was interviewed over to who his teammate for 2020 should be, and he said either Albon, since he's doing well so far in the car, or the German Nico Hülkenberg to bring the experience to the team needed if both drivers are to make a state to the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. Toyota, the Pink Panther team's turned sticker bomb livery, also looking to build off an encouraging first 11 races of the season. Excellent consistency has kept Lewis Hamilton in reach of the Drivers' title, and the team as a whole for the first ever Constructors' crown. Despite the good job that Hamilton's been doing so far in the car, it's been quite the other story on the other side of the garage. On the most part, Kobayashi's failed to impress this season, with the best result being only a single podium with 3rd place at Azerbaijan, a race in which his teammate Lewis Hamilton won. To make matters worse, for Kamui Kobayashi, Matsushita's best lap achieved in the TF19 on day 3 of the test was only 2 tenths slower than Kobayashi's. Albeit it seems well and good that Kamui was still faster, however it was Nobishita with Haru Matsushita's first time in the car, he was immediately on the pace. It also is shaping up to be a 3-way battle for the second Toyota seat for 2020 between Kamui, Nobu and Lance Stroll. Ferrari are still looking to move past the mechanical issues that have plagued both of their cars throughout the season to date so far. Excluding Leclerc's win in the season opener, Ferrari's season has been very much similar to last, albeit not through lack of pace, as when the cars are working they work well. However, it's been Vettel more often than not has struggled to get higher than 8th place in the races. But he's not the only driver struggling though to adapt to the new 2019 regulation cars. Kubica, Arianto, Verne and even Tiro to an extent have admitted that the new handling characteristics of the cars haven't played to their ideals for their driving styles. So Vettel has a contract with Thrive for next season, but with the trials and tribulations from 2019 so far, it might not be a surprise to see the 5-time champion to explore other opportunities in 2020, either be it in Formula 1 or something else. During a recent interview, Vettel said that his number one intention is to again win the title with Ferrari, but admitted that realistically it might not happen again during his time in F1. Amidst all the silly season talks, McLaren used this time to confirm their driver lineup for 2020. There'll be no changes, with Arianto and Norris staying on for what will be their 5th and 2nd seasons. This allows the drivers to focus purely on testing the upgrades for the MCL34. Throughout the season, McLaren have shown time and time again to have the 6th fastest car in terms of race pace, which appear to be lacking in one-lap pace, which is allowing the Alfa Romeos and previously the Renaults to keep themselves in the mix for 6th place in the championship. McLaren also announced a deal with Mercedes AMG power units from 2021 onwards, sparking much debate as to whether Mercedes will carry on in Formula 1 past 2020. Alfa Romeo used the first 2 days of the test to work on new chassis upgrades for the AR19. With a radical new aero concept working on par with most of the other midfield teams' designs, the Italian outfit can now look and turn their attentions towards maximising their customer Ferrari engines. Day 3 of the test was used more to evaluate drivers for 2020, as the agreement to run a Ferrari-backed driver was only a 1-year deal. The number one contender to be Josh Chiro's teammate at Alfa Romeo next season is currently Kevin Magnussen. The Dane spent time with McLaren in 2014 with some varied success, but was dropped in 2015 in favour of Fernando Alonso. Magnussen then came close to a race seat with Renault in 2016, but ultimately lost out to Aussie Daniel Ricciardo. Alfa Romeo are keen to give Kevin a lifeline after seeing what the aggressive and ambitious style of Josh Chiro has done to keep the team in the best of the rest position in the Constructors' Championship of P6. However, Giovinazzi does have the first say in the matter, where they will need to significantly improve his race results, as his best so far has only been 2 measly points finishes, over Josh Chiro has a race win, albeit under lucky circumstances, but scored a legitimate podium on car pace back at Singapore. Hulkenberg could also be an outside option, as he knows the Alpha team boss Fred Vasseur on a personal level, as Nico Hulkenberg came up through the junior categories in Vasseur's junior Formula teams. Championship contenders Mercedes started the first day of testing by announcing their drivers for 2020. Unsurprisingly, the team will retain both Daniel Kvyat and George Russell, as well as keeping on Pascal Wehrlein as test and reserve driver. Throughout the paddock, it's believed that Mercedes have the best aero package in terms of downforce, even if it is a little on the draggy side. Newly resigned Wehrlein spent most of the time in the car throughout the 3 days, evaluating much needed AMG engine upgrades for the car, with Kvyat and Russell doing their only meaningful running on the day 3 when they finally got to test the upgrades. His upgrades should hopefully boost the team's efforts in qualifying. Much like Alfa Romeo, Toro Rosso used the first 2 days to test the upgrades for the car. However, the final day became almost an impromptu fastest lap shootout between their 2 drivers of Nico Kari and Pierre Gasly. Kari's earned the benchmark time in the morning, and when Gasly took over the car in the afternoon, he set the exact same time to Kari to 3 decimal places. This might also be the last season that the team is known as Toro Rosso, as Double have put in a request to have the name changed to next season to Alpha Tauri, to promote the clothing brand of Red Bull. Kari also announces that unless he moves to the senior Red Bull team for 2020, he'll be taking himself out of the Red Bull driver program, as he started the season as the sure number 1 at Toro Rosso, whilst having the better season over Alex Albon, up to the point of the tied driver promotion. Williams, despite not being able to run a car with the flywheel system, what would have been their B-spec car, the team still looked to have a stronghold on the 2019 championships. With ever Mick Schumacher looked bulletproof on the short run pace, whilst Robbie Kubica focused more on the long runs. Williams though continued the development of the FW41 with an all-new aero package. The upgrades looked to be pretty successful, with Kubica having the best average speed over a race stint. while Schumacher managed a top 3 time on short runs and 1 lap pace, with both drivers also being expected to stay on at the team for 2020. Even with a raft of upgrades and silly season talk, the overall pecking order looked to have remained more or less the same as before the weekend. Red Bull looked though to have made significant progress forward, and McLaren have their future secured. Can anyone get into the title fight with the big three of Mick Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton and Danny Kvyat? Can Ferrari and Red Bull keep themselves ahead of the midfield teams of McLaren and Alfa Romeo? And will Renault be able to reclaim their lost ground in the battle for the best of the rest? Find out next week at the German Grand Prix.